Hey guys, welcome to the AYYY GOV podcast limited edition where we talk all things prison, criminal justice, and the Black community in general. So let's just get into it. My name is Sandra Camilla. If you don't already know, I am an ex-prison officer. I'm not going to tell you what jail I worked in, but let's just say it's been a journey. I was a prison officer for 3 years. It had its good moments, but it also had its down moments. And let's just say that glory to God that I'm still here. And if you don't already know, I'm launching my book, AYYY Surviving the Prison Service as a Black Female Prison Officer, coming to you real soon. And I'm just creating this mini podcast series as a safe space for Black women, Black men that have been impacted by the criminal justice system to come and sit down, have a conversation, let's talk, because there's so much that goes on and I feel like we do not talk about it enough. And I feel like sometimes we go through situations and we feel embarrassed or we feel like we can't actually talk about it because prison within itself is such a closed community. Like whatever happens in prison basically stays in prison. Like it's not real life. Like every time I would come out from my shift, I'll be like, is this even real life? But yeah, here or there. But we're gonna start off lightly with a couple of questions. Like a lot of people ask me like, what is it like to work in a prison, yada yada yada. Everybody is just so intrigued. And I used to tell people that I was a prison officer, and that wasn't something that was actually public knowledge when I was actually working there. Only my close family and friends would know for security reasons, and you will understand later why I say that. But there's so many questions, and I feel like a lot of people viewing this have probably never been to a prison or probably know somebody that's been in prison, but they're just like, how does prison work? What is prison like, especially working there? So there's a couple of questions that we have that I'm going to answer for you guys to know the myths and my opinions on the prison and what it's really like. So let's get into it. So the first question is working in the prison scary? I got asked this question so many times, and I will say honestly no. Like the prison actually isn't scary. Obviously you're with people that have done various different crimes, but you actually forget sometimes that they're actual criminals. You actually forget that you have murderers or you have rapists or you have serial killers or you have terrorists. Like they're actually human. And it's so funny to say because we're all human, but it's just people that have just made some mistakes or people that have chosen a lifestyle. But when you're in prison, you wouldn't even know. Unless you look at their case note, you actually won't know who is who. Like there's no, like everybody says, oh, like a murderer looks like this or da da da. Like everybody has their stereotypical view on how somebody's going to look like. But when you actually go onto the wing, sometimes you even look at someone, you're just like, I wonder what they're in for, because you actually don't know. They'll be like, you all right, miss? Hello, miss. Good day, miss. Can I help you, miss? Most polite people ever, but he's a serial killer. He chopped his mum up. He stabbed his sister. Like, but he's the one making you tea in the morning. So, like, you just never know. And I wouldn't say that you've been in scary situations, but I wouldn't say it's a scary place. I feel like prison is what you make it. And I feel like it can only be scary if you are scary. And yeah, they'll meet you where you're at the end of the day. So I hope that clears you up. Prison isn't scary. Don't worry. The people that you're working with that are scary, not the prisoners. But I digress. Yeah, and it just goes on to question number 2. What type of criminals did I work with? I worked with everybody. Literally, we had murderers, terrorists, rapists. We had every single crime under the sun. Like I worked, when I first started, my prison was a Cat B prison. And so that is a step down from Cat A. That is just where your local average prisoners go. So people think that Cat A and Cat B, the way it's categorized is your risks to society, and that's where you're placed based on that. So if you're high risk, let's say risk to a community, or you need maximum security, you will be in a Cat A prison. Not all the times, because sometimes spacing, they'll put anybody anywhere these days. But ideally, that's how it's supposed to work. So in my Cat B prison, yeah, we literally had every single person under the sun, like every single crime you could think of. I worked with a variety of prisoners that were in for different things. Yeah, and I feel like one of the reasons why I joined the prison service is because I wanted to understand why people did the things that they did and what led you. Like I don't know, it's just the sociology in me, it's just the criminology in me that just makes me feel like why did you do that? Like why? Like literally, yeah, I had literally various different types of criminals. Yeah, so what else is there? Why did you opt to work in a male estate rather than a female estate? I don't feel like I did that consciously. I didn't say, yeah, I want to work in the male prison, but I feel like when I was applying, that's what was available. Because before actually staying in my permanent job in the prison, I actually was in Thameside. That's what people don't know. I started off there, but then I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I went over to the HMP, to the government side. I was like, the private sector isn't for me. So let me just go on to HMP government, and I feel like that was the best move for me at the time. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like everybody has this taboo that every time I said that I worked in the prison, everybody assumed I worked in a women's prison, or people thought prisons are mixed. Guys, there's no mixed prisons. It's either female estate, male estate. That's it. There's no, like, I was really confused, and this is why it's so like prison. People don't know about prison. People think, oh yeah, was it a men's and women's prison? Is that no? It's either men or either female. But yeah, I feel like there's this misconception which I like to clear up, that working in a women's prison is easier. Listen, my manager worked in a women's prison and it's not. Yeah, I don't want women throwing tampons at me. Thank you very much. Like, I just feel like women are more ruthless. I feel like men are more composed. You can get, when a woman sees red, there's no stopping her. There's no stopping her. So like, I didn't really put much thought into it. All I knew is that I wanted to make an impact in the criminal justice system, but the way for me to do that is to start at the bottom, and that was working as a prison officer to actually understand how people work and how the prison system works from the ground up. So I hope that clears that up. What else? What is your scariest prison moment or experience? Guys, if I talk about my experiences, I'm going to be here forever. Yeah. But I would say my scariest experience was probably towards the end of my service in the prison service. And I just feel like, I don't know, when you're in the prison service, other prison officers will tell you, you become very desensitized to a lot. Like, someone can cut their throat in front of you and you're literally just like, yep, code red, da 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 da. Like, you don't really react to much. You become less reaction. Nothing really shocks you because you've seen it all. But what I will say is that towards the end of like my 3 years of service, I was caught up in a gang fight. And that was nothing that I haven't seen before, but usually you respond when you're running to the general alarm, you're running to the alarm. You're not in the alarm where people are trying to save you inside of it. So I feel like for me, that was my scariest experience, because one, they were armed. Two, it was, I was banging up. I'm like, guys, da, 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 bang up. And then all the guys literally just run out and they start fighting. But for me, it's that in the prison service, like, there's no, it's fly or fly mode. Like, it's literally, I had to grab onto something. Like, I wasn't running away, because where am I running to? At the end of the day, and as a prison officer, you need to be 10 toes down. Like, if you're gonna be there, you need to be there. You can't be a pussy. If you get what I mean, like, you will be looked down on if you actually run away from a fight. So I was the only one there, first on scene. I had my keys in my hand, and I literally had to scream from the top of my lungs and shout for stuff, I end up grabbing the prisoner, but the prisoner that I ended up grabbing was the one that they were all attacking. That's just my luck. So obviously I have no choice but to hold on. At this point, it's like, well, you're here now. So we're swinging to the side, swinging, dush, dush, dush. And then obviously, like, I was well respected on my wing, and I was one of the only black female prison officers at the time on my wing anyway. So I had a very good rapport. So people that weren't even involved in the fight, basically, I don't know how to explain my landing, but my landing was long and there was multiple ways to get up and down. So the guys saw that I was basically caught up in the middle of of this gang fight. So some of them tried to run in to try and basically save me before the officers came. So then the officers started restraining the wrong people because they just saw, imagine a load of black men and Somalian men just running towards a fight. They're thinking attack mode. So everybody, it becomes an all available, and the all available is basically like when every single available officer in that prison, you can be in the visits hall. You can, if you are free, you need to leg it. When you hear that all available, everybody is running, like, and there's literally one person left on that unit. So like, yeah, I was literally fighting for my life with this man. And then obviously my officer, my oppo literally came to save me, but he ended up getting assaulted and literally collapsed in the middle in front of me, and I couldn't help him because I had to hold on to a prisoner. And yeah, and I felt so bad. Like, that was the first time ever that I cried after a general alarm because I was just so traumatized. And he was literally in hospital and he wasn't in for months. Like, he literally KO'd, like, he was gone. And I honestly say that it's only by God's grace. I do not know. When I look at the footage, I honestly do not know how I got out of there with no scratch, nothing. And thank God I had braids. You see me in prison, you'll never. I think it's only once that I wore a wig. You see a wig? Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're serious about being a prison officer and you're going to get involved in general alarms and you're going to kit up, do not wear a wig. Like, honestly, do not wear a wig. Honestly, I don't know how much more times I can say that and emphasize it. Do not wear wigs. You see braids and locks, like, they'll tell you Miss Y had either braids or either had locks. It was on rare occasions that you'll see me in a wig. A week later, you'll see me back in my braids because, you know, when you come back from annual leave, like, it's my birthday, have my frontal, like, I'm looking nice, but that doesn't last long. And even when I'll come onto the landing, I'll be like, guys, don't fight today because I don't want the pass off because, listen, I'm not well equipped to help you guys today, so please calm down for me. But I digress. But yeah, that was probably the most scariest experience that I had in the prison service, just because of the impact that it had on my colleagues and, like, just me just being right there and just them coming to basically save me because I was literally in the middle of it, and just seeing the amount of people that got hurt. But I can't really talk too much about that because we're going to court. I'm actually going to court because of that incident. Like, I'm being summoned to court, so I don't know how much I can actually disclose, but, like, yeah, I didn't go too much into it. But yeah, let's just say it was terrible. Yeah. But on to the next question. What was your best experience in prison? I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of highlights. I'm not gonna lie. Just genuinely seeing prisoners happy, making the most out of a bad situation. And I feel like, I don't know, the sense of community, like, people actually, they don't like to admit it, although it's all man's for themselves, but when it really comes down to it, people actually do look out for each other. And I feel like that's what I loved experiencing, like seeing them actually being their brother's keeper, seeing somebody actually share their food with somebody that doesn't have money, seeing somebody go through a mental health crisis and seeing how they'll all rally around that person. Like for me, that was literally the joy of actually doing the job. Like people just think, oh, like the most like horrible people, the most notorious people go to prison, but nah, like gangsters have a heart. It's not even funny, but it's actually like they actually have a heart, and I feel like it's a side to them that not many people are privy to, because at the end of the day, when you're in prison, you're in survival mode and everybody's trying to survive. So just watching them actually lift somebody up when they're down bad was a highlight. And if anybody told you, me as a prison officer, I was so unserious. Like I feel like I would literally make so much, I would just run so much jokes. I thought I was so funny, but they had no choice but to laugh, because who holds the key? I do. So laugh now, otherwise you're not coming out for association. I'm joking. But like, yeah, I was always just running jokes. Like always had banter, like would sing old Nollywood songs. Like it's just like a lot of them were around the same age, so we grew up around the same things, listened to the same music. So we will literally, someone will say something and then we'll break into a song and just start laughing. People will, like the officers will be looking at me like, oh, like what is this girl on? But it's like, I feel like as an officer, and I say this in my book, like you need to find the balance. You need to be able to humanize yourself, because at the end of the day, yes, I was serious about my job. I was on business. They knew like when Miss Y is doing her job, she's doing her job. But then there was also a time where I would actually banter and I would actually, just chop it up with them, because why not? This is how you get to know the people in the spur, and you get to know what's going on. But yeah, a controversial one. Prison and staff intimate relationships. Everybody asks me, oh, like, does a female prison officer sleep with this prisoner and da 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 da? Like, I get that question all the time, and obviously, with the ones with scandal and everything that's happened, like, when did that was probably almost a year ago now. I think I was still, this time last year, I was actually still in the prison service. I find that so wild. Like, so much can happen in a year. But yeah, I think that actually happened when, yeah, I think that I don't know if I just left or if I was leaving. I can't remember. But no, I think I left. But yeah, the ones with situation, that was very graphic and very out there, and people think that's what goes on every single day. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm not saying that staff and prisoner intimate relationship doesn't happen, but I feel like in my time, I didn't personally see it. You will hear rumors, you will hear people have their suspicions, but nothing was actually proven where it's like, yeah, this prison officer is doing this. Like I've seen corruption, but not at that level. I would say, to be fair, prison officers find love in prison. Like I've seen a lot of my colleagues get married, live together, have long-term relationships in prison. But even with saying that, if you're a prison officer or your partner is a prison officer, yeah, that place is a wild place, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. When you found out people's charges, did it affect your relationship with them? Do you know what? I had a rule that I wouldn't look at the person's offences, because I feel like there's so much unconscious bias when it comes to the prison service, and I didn't want, like, at the end of the day, you're in prison for a reason and you're serving your sentence, and I feel like I'm not trying to punish you even more for something that you've already done. So I really did, unless I had to, I really tried not to look at somebody or search somebody up and look what they're in for. Because I just feel like sometimes when you see something, especially in your early days, when you're not a seasoned prison officer, like that can really freak you out, and it will make you nervous, it will make you shy, and you may not realize it, but the way you interact with them will be different. So I didn't, like, even when I did find out, or I found out like this person's a rapist or this person is that, like I had key workers that were rapists. But did that stop me from like these rapists were getting out? Unfortunately. But did that stop me from promoting rehabilitation and saying and planning for the future with them and helping them? That sounds so crazy saying that, because like honestly, I've always said I'd rather you murder me than rape me. Like I've always said that, but when you're in the prison service, that goes out of the window. What you think about them, how if you think they're a nasty individual, that goes out of the window. That your opinion about them does not matter. Because at the end of the day, you're there to do your job. As much as like some prison officers did let the way they felt about a prisoner get in the way of how they did their job, but really and truly, you're not employed for that. You're not employed to impose your opinion or impose your views or impose your biases on these people. You're literally there to rehabilitate. If you look at the HMPPS mission statement, it's all there. But whether people take that on the chin or not is a different story. It's a different question. But like, yeah, I wouldn't say that people's offences made me look at them different. But what I would say is people's alerts made me cautious. And I'll kind of explain to you what that means. So like you have the national prison system, we call it NOMIS, and basically people have an alert. So let's say if they're a hostage taker, risk to females, like they have all these alerts. And some of them I would say are very disproportionate. Gang member, that's an alert, funnily enough. But I would literally like you have to be if you need to be if it says their alerts as a hostage taker, you're going to be cautious about how you are around them. You're not going to be in a cell by yourself with them. You're not going to not tell a staff member where you're going when you're with that person. So like alerts is kind of things that you kind of inherit whilst you're in prison. So let's say you're like suicidal and you're on an act, that'll be an alert. Like and I feel like risk to females, that can be anything. You could have been in an intimate relationship with a female prison officer. You could have assaulted a female prison officer. So yeah, there's so many reasons why a risk to female alert can be done. And also the gang alert. And I feel like this was the one that just annoyed me the most, because it really disproportionately affected, the BAME community. And I'm just like, they're not a gang member. Like why is that an alert? Like why is a gang member alert on their system? And it was just, I just found that very problematic, because especially when I worked with people that I didn't work in the inner London jail. So when the people that I worked with were not from London, this was the first time they've seen so many black people, Asian people in their life. So when they're seeing gang member, they're thinking, yeah, this person's a shooter, drug dealer, all these type of stereotypes, and they just added to that narrative, and they just added to how they were treated. So I feel like, yeah, alerts more than what they have done, because you're in prison anyway. So what you've done is what you've done. I feel like your alerts kind of makes you more cautious rather than what they've done. I don't know if I've explained that properly, but comment down below if you want a further explanation, or if you want me to clear that up in another video. Did you feel poorly represented in the prison service? Guys, I'm just gonna put it out there. When I started, and I say this in my book, I was the only young black female prison officer. Yeah. There was 2 female prison officers, but they were older. One, when I started, was on 6 months sick leave, so I didn't see her for the first 6 months. The other one worked in reception. So I was in hindsight, for the first 6 months of my career as a prison officer, I was the only black female. So if they were talking about, yeah, the black female prison officer, they were talking about me. Like if they wanted to target me, it will be easy to find me, because it's only me. So yeah, I would say that the first 9 months was very hard, because there was literally nobody. Like there was a lot of black men, but females, crazy. Like, there was literally, after like probably I would say 7 months, that's when we saw an influx of younger girls. I even got my girl T to come. I called her one day. I was like, you need to chill, da, 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 da. Like, I can't do this anymore, like, because it was hard. Like, being a black female in the prison service is hard. I don't want to go into it too much, but it's hard. The microaggression, the racism, the misunderstanding, the lack of cultural competence, everything. Was there a time where you ever felt threatened? Oh my gosh, actually had an almost hostage situation where somebody basically tried to drag me in their cell because I wasn't letting them out, and I was trying to explain. I opened their door to explain to them, because sometimes I don't know why. Well, I do know why prisoners do it, because sometimes it's not safe to open the door, especially when somebody's seeing red. So you'll rather talk to them behind the door. But me at my bright self, I literally opened the door. I opened the door and I tried to explain to him why he wasn't coming out at a certain time, because I feel like sometimes you need to remove that barrier when you're talking to prisoners. That, like, I feel like when you're talking through the door, it's just like, they're not gonna bite. Well, in my head, not in most cases. Sometimes they will bite you, but in majority of the times, just talk to them. Do you get what I mean? But yeah, I removed that barrier. I opened the door to tell him, listen, da, 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 da. And he basically tried to walk past me. And then I was like, wait, where are you going? And then he grabbed my arm and literally said, what are you gonna do? And tried to drag me towards him. And I literally was looking at him, looking at my arm, and I was just like, it's like in my head, I was like, I froze, but I reacted so quickly. And the cameras, and I love that the wings have cameras, because they literally capture every single thing. I literally got him by my other hand and flung him back into his cell. I feel like he thought I was going to scream, and because back then I was kind of probably like 6 months in, I was fairly new, so I thought he thought I was going to scream, I was going to cry, but I literally flung him back into his cell. Like, he went flying, and he was even shocked. Like, never in your life put your hands on me. Like, are you dumb? Like, literally. And the officers were watching from the bottom. Nobody was running to to save me. They were all watching from the bottom. And the craziest part is that I opened the cell to defend an officer because he wanted to go and beat up an officer, and I stopped him, and he told me, what am I going to do about it? And grabbed my arms, tried to drag me, and then I flung him back inside. I was protecting them, but were they protecting me? They're like, wow, you're so brave. And I feel like that was probably the time where I earned my accolades in the prison service. They're like, yeah, she is about business. Like, she doesn't even, I didn't scream, I didn't flinch, I didn't call for stuff. I literally just flung. I was like, yeah, he tried to drag me in. And like, literally, they got a whole team, they kitted up to take him to the seg. To the seg. Go there. But yeah, like, never mess with me again. But like, I was proud of myself. It was a proud moment, because it's like, it showed the staff that I was able to handle myself. It showed the prisoners, don't play with me, because I will not double down on what I'm saying, and I will act accordingly. So yeah, I'll say that was a time where I felt threatened, but I overcame that like threat, because like, I handled it. I stood on business. I didn't scream, I didn't shout, I didn't cry. I just did what I had to do, and that was defend myself, and he got flung like a fly. Would you say violence is high against staff? Yes. Especially in my prison, yes. Yes, and yes, and yes. I would put it this way. I feel like when people join the prison service, they let the baton, the cuffs, everything, all the decoration that you have that's meant to protect you, get to their head. And when you let that get to your head, like, sometimes I feel like I was working, I was like, you need to actually remember where you are. Not that you should walk in fear, but you should walk with a certain understanding and a certain consciousness that these people can dun you and you'll be down quickly. Like sometimes I'll say something to prisoners or I will say something in such a way and they'll be like, nah, miss, that was rude. I'm like, bro, sometimes I swear being black protected me, because if anybody else was to say what I just said, they would have got slapped. They would have got slapped. But I feel like in all, it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. And I feel like you need to know how to speak to people. You need to have people skill. And I feel like this is why when people say was working in the prison hard, no, is what people put themselves in was hard. Like when you're working with people that don't know how to speak with people, when you're looking at the staffing and you're looking at who you're working with, you're just like, it's a long day, because we're definitely going to have a restraint today, because all you know is not to talk with your mouth but your fists. So yeah, it was very crazy. Like people would get assaulted because people didn't know how to talk to people, and people feel like, yeah, they could talk to anybody anyhow and get away with it. And I saw a lot of people get whooped. Yes, I did. But like, I even always told the prisoners though, like, don't bite into that, because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, of course you want to show that you're that guy, you're not that person to be messed with, but what narrative are you trying to build about yourself? Because at the end of the day, especially as a black or Asian man or a man for a mixed heritage, you're already seen a certain type of way, so you're just adding to the narrative. They're throwing cheese and you're literally the mice biting into the bait. And I literally always used to say, don't fall for the bait, and that was literally my motto, don't fall for the bait. Like, I know it's pissing you off, I know you're angry, I know you're fuming, but it's not worth it. It's actually not worth it. Yeah, a lot of staff did get assaulted, and a lot of staff were collateral damage because certain officers couldn't keep their mouth shut. And I always used to explain to prisoners that, yeah, okay, an officer may be wrong at the time, but I will never correct them in public in front of you. I'll tell them in private when the officer, yeah, I don't think how you handled that situation with X, Y, and Z was good, but at the end of the day, if they're challenging you or if they're stepping up on you, even if I'm the back of in my mind, I'm thinking it's wrong, I have to back them. And that's actually the saddest bit about it, is that I have to back them. If they're going for a restraint, I can't be like, no, I'm not restraining this person. No, leave me out of it. There's no leave me out of this in the prison service. You're in it. So, yeah, I would say, yeah, there was a lot of staff assaults, but some of them deserved it. If we're being honest, guys, I don't want to not be honest, because I don't work there anymore, and what they've put me through, I don't bloody care. Like, some of them deserved what was coming to them, because I'm not condoning violence. I'm not saying that violence is the answer, but you brought it upon yourself. Like, let's not think, oh, there were just these innocent people and prisoners just go around attacking innocent staff. No, more times they will provoke to do what they did. And I feel like sometimes we have this narrative that, yeah, these officers are just saints, and then these prisoners are just these violent people in cages, and when they're unleashed, they just go attacking every single person. No, it doesn't go down like that. These people are provoked, and I feel like they're provoked on multiple occasions. They don't just wild out. It's a build-up. It's a build-up. To beat somebody that's taller than you, it's a build-up. It's a build-up. It's never something that they just decide to do on that moment. It's constant, and one day they just snap. I'm not saying that violence is the way. It's not the way. I don't condone violence. I'm not for violence, but I feel like sometimes we need to be fair and look at the reasons why people do the things they do. What do you think keeps people in the job so long? Like, when people are like, oh, I've been there for 20 years. But I understand though, because back in the days, like, working in the prison, that was good. You get your house, your mortgage, your literally so much perks of being in the prison service that people have brought their house off that prison service. That I'm talking about, like, in the 80s, in the 70s, that working in the prison was an elite job, because a lot of people came from the army. So like they had a lot of perks, a lot of incentives to work in the prison service. So I feel like that's why a lot of people stay there, because especially the pension is very, very, very good. And also the job stability. The crime will always happen. And I feel like even in the pandemic, because that's when I joined, like that was job security. Like you're not gonna be let go. Like there's never gonna be a time when they say we don't need prison officers. That is a constant. You always see job adverts. You always see there's a mass recruitment, even when it comes to the police. Like in those civil service areas where they need people at the forefront, there's always going to be a need. And I feel like people stay there because it's job security, especially when you're building a home, you have a family. Like you need that source of income. Like you don't have to worry if you're going to be let go or be made redundant. And I feel like that's the worry with like certain corporate jobs. Like people that started with me, a lot of them came from corporate backgrounds. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? But it's like, it's the job security. And I feel like the pandemic showed us that anything can go and anything can be moved. And I feel like a lot of people had a reality check where they was just like, you know what, I never want to be in that uncertain situation ever again. So this is why people choose to join the prison service, because of that job security, not because the job is glamorous or they want to change lives and rehabilitate people, but because of the job security that it actually brings and it actually provides. So yeah, that is one of the reasons why people stay so long, I personally believe. What was your reaction when you saw people you knew in jail? You know, yeah, I saw one of my boys and he froze. He froze and I kept on walking. That's what happened. And I feel like it's just such a painful thing that the whole reason why I went so far away from my house and from my area is that I don't bump into people. But what I've realized about the system, you can end up anywhere. It doesn't matter whether this person's in South London. Just because you live in South London doesn't mean you're going to be in a South London jail. Just because you live in North London, it doesn't mean you're going to be in a North London jail. Like, there were so many people that I knew of, just people that I knew personally, and so many people that I've seen. I'm just like, raw. Like, thank God I was not a bait head when I was in school. I was just a little quiet girl. I'm just a girl, just a quiet girl. But you're just like, oh my God, this person does not recognize me. Thank God. But for the people that did recognize me, sorry, conflict of interest. I can't work on that. No, I can't go there. I can't ever go there. Because first of all, I couldn't work on a unit with someone that I knew, or I couldn't watch a staff member talk crazy about somebody that I rock with, or somebody that I know outside, or someone that's close to my family member. Like, couldn't do it. And it wasn't common knowledge that I was like, oh my God, yeah, I know this person. I was just feeling, literally, integrity is everything. Like, I declared all the people that I knew. And I would literally just put it to security and say, yep, I can't work here, I can't work on this wing because I have a conflict of interest. And that was that. Like, I saw them that once, or that one time that I saw them, that is it. Like, I will not talk to you. Don't tell your sister to message me, don't tell your mom to message me, don't tell my cousin to message, don't tell me nothing, because I don't know you. As sad as it is, and I feel like it's protecting them and protecting myself as well, because I don't know if I could restrain my boy. Imagine that. Like, I don't think I could restrain my boy. Like, I just feel like, yeah, I can't work with too much emotion, or when you're emotionally invested into someone. Like, you want to see them do well. Like, obviously you look on Nomis and see what they're doing and if they're behaving themselves, but that's as far as it will go. Like, I'm not going onto the wing. I'm not going to speak to you. I'm not going to say, how are you? How's life? How's treating? No. Like, declared it and that's it. It was very unfortunate, but like, I tried to run away with it, but they found me. They found me. There was no running away. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know why I thought going further out would stop me from seeing people that I know all grown up with. Like, I don't know why I had that in my mind. Like, I feel like it limited it, because if I worked in the inner London jail, I feel like I wouldn't be able to work on any wing, because everybody will be everywhere. So it did minimize the risk, I would say that, but it didn't stop it. if that makes sense. So yeah, English English does why can't I say Wait, what is going on? Cut the cameras. Rehabilitation. There we go. Does rehabilitation No, but guys, what is wrong with my mouth today? Does rehabilitation work? And this is a word that I used in almost my everyday vocabulary. I don't know why it was not coming out, but yeah, does it work? And I feel like this is such a loaded question, and I feel like this is a conversation that we as a black community, the education system, the criminal justice system needs to be having. Does this work? Like, they like to sell it to us that like it works, but who does it work for? Oh wait. I always used to say to prisoners, rehabilitation's in the eyes of the beholder. And like I just turned like there's a sociologist that says that deviance is in the eyes of the beholder. So I just turned it around and just said rehabilitation is in the eyes of the beholder. So if you want to be rehabilitated, then rehabilitation is yours. Like, you can't wait for a system or for people to rehabilitate you. If you want to be better, you will do better. If you want to go for those courses, go for the educational, that's all people get their licenses. That's all people get like degrees in uni. Like, if you actually want to go for it, you can go for it. It may be hard, it may be restricted, but if you actually want to look for those resources and make yourself better, and you want to actually excel, and you actually want to be better than how you came in, you can do that by all means. And I feel like a lot of people wait for people to present it on a platter for them. And unfortunately, we're in the United Kingdom. No one's going to serve you rehabilitation on the platter. They want you to keep on coming to prison because that's what's spinning the economy. That's how people are getting paid. And that's actually the sad truth. But I don't feel like it's not attainable. I've seen certain people, like, I've had proud, not like, I feel like, I wouldn't say mum moments because I'm just a baby girl, but I would say I'll have proud sister moments. It's like, oh, like, this person's doing well. Oh, like, like, there's a lot of people, and I feel like, I don't know, you're so wired in society. Like, there'll be prisons that'll be like, oh, nah, miss, I'm dumb or I'm stupid. And it's just like, why are you saying that about yourself? Like, and it's just very sad because that's what they've been told. So when you've been told that you're dumb or you're stupid or you can't read, or there's a lot of people that wouldn't want to go to education because they don't want them to know that they can't read. And that's actually the sad truth. So that's why a lot of people will rather, get more involved in criminal activity or just be a nuisance on the wing, because that's all they just think that's all they're good for. They haven't seen something better or something that's alternative that's been offered to them. And I feel like yeah, rehabilitation, you need to want it for yourself. Yes, we can promote it. I definitely believe that we should be advocates as prison officers for rehabilitation, but at the end of the day, it's actually down to you. It is down to you. Because when you walk out of those doors, the prison service is not going to be holding your hands telling you, like, yeah, this is it's on you. It's a mindset thing. If you want to be better, you will do better. And that's just that. That's a long topic within itself. And you'll see me soon saying, like, yeah, talking the things, because I feel like there's a lot of research and there's a lot of, I've spent my whole academic life, yeah. I have 2 degrees, if you don't know. Big S, not the little one. I'm joking. But I have 2 degrees. So my undergraduate is in sociology and criminology. My master's is in youth justice, public protection, and applied criminology. And yeah, I've given my whole academic life to studying society, to studying criminals, studying the mind. So, like, I feel like with the knowledge that I have and what I've experienced and marrying it together, I've just come to that genuine conclusion that you need to want it for yourself. Like, nobody can rehabilitate you. You rehabilitate yourself. And that's where I stand on that. A couple more questions until we end this. Answer this last question before we wrap it up. Would you ever return to the prison service? What do you think? I'll let you answer. No. Big, heavy, no. No. I feel like I have to laugh about a lot of things because what I went through was so real and so traumatic. So that's why you're just like, why is she laughing? And why is she fine? Because if I deep and really think about everything I've endured and everything that I've survived in that place, like in this Q&A, you won't get it because I'm just talking about generic questions and I'm not really talking about me as such. I'm talking about little experiences or giving you little story times here and there, but I'm not really talking about what's actually happened. You need to buy the book to find out. But yeah, I could never go back as an officer. Like, anyways, being a prison officer was never my dream job. I never came to the prison saying that, yeah, I want to be a prison officer, then an SO, then a CM. That's some people, that's their life plan, their life goals, and kudos to you. But that was never me. I always said I was going to stay in the prison 3 years max. Like, I have degrees, I have places to be, but I feel like there's a lot of people in positions, there's a lot of people making policies, there's a lot of people making decisions, but they've never walked a day in their landing, and I just never wanted to be that person. So yeah, I would never come back as a prison officer, but if there was ever an opportunity where I can go back to empower these men, speak life into these men. And I'm sorry, I'm a Christian, so always, like, I feel like sometimes when I speak, it sounds so inspirational, motivational speaker, but I can't help it. I can't help it. It's just me by nature. If you know me, my friends are probably watching me and like, yep, this is Sandra. But yeah, I just feel like prison is such a dark place, and I feel like a lot of these men need life spoken into them because it's a forgotten place. You're basically dead. Literally, you're basically dead because who comes to visit you? Who comes to see you? Like, the amount of people that you see, like when they get released, yeah, you'll see the Lamborghinis, the Range Rovers, the Rolls Royce, but you're like, this person had £1 on their spends and they were wearing prison issued clothing. Where was the luxury then? Is crickets, because it's very confusing. But it's like, when you're inside, you're actually on your own. And I feel like the only reason I would go back is for that, because I do believe in rehabilitation. I do believe there's people in there that actually want to change their lives. I do believe that some people are there by accident. It's not everybody that is a serial killer or is a mastermind criminal. Like, anything can, and I feel like people don't get this, anything can land you in prison. You can literally run somebody over and boom, you're in prison. I even think I had a prisoner like that. Like, literally, you've lost control of the car, you've killed somebody, you're in prison. Anything in life can land you in prison. This is why you need to be very careful about your views or how you treat people that have been inside, because it could be you, it could be your grandma, your granddad, your dad, your mum, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your friend. You don't know what life will bring you. So yeah, anyways, I hope you liked this first episode of AYYY limited series. Tell me what you want to see, tell me what you want to hear, tell me who you want me to bring, tell me everything. Like, honestly, in my book, like, it's written so informally. It's like you're having a conversation. So just come and sit in my couch. Come and talk to me. Bring a cup of tea. Bring a cup of coffee. Like, let's have real conversations. Let's have real conversations. And Black ladies that have experienced marginalization, not even in the prison service, but in the workplace in general, where you felt like you've had to show up anything other than yourself. Let's talk. Let's have a talk. Let's have conversations, because I feel like we've been mute, and I feel like as Black women, we stand up for everybody and everything, but we don't stand up for ourselves. So yeah, it's time, and it's our time to speak up and be proud. So love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and on to the next one. Bye.